So, hello everyone. This is Ayushi Johari. I am the Deputy Secretary General of NIT Silchar Model United Nations and a third year computer science engineering student at NIT Silchar.
Hey guys, this is Kohli Yashwant, and I am Head of Delegate Affairs NIT Silchar Model United Nations, and I'm also a third year undergraduate student at NIT Silchar CSE.
So, today we are going to talk about the Sustainable Development Goal number 4, which is the quality education, and which we'll be focusing mainly on ensuring inclusivity and a safe space in the education system in our country. So we all are well aware with the schemes and initiatives like the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan and the right to education that it has given much required impetus to the education system and significantly increased the enrollment rates in the primary education sector of our country. However, inclusivity still remains a big challenge in front of us because as we all know that India is a multilingual, multicultural, multi-religious country, and because of which the challenge of inclusivity becomes even more challenging for us. Then we all are aware of the Salamanca Statement of 1994 of UNESCO. So a lot of developing countries started reformulating their policies to promote the inclusion of students with disabilities or who were marginalized into their policies and the schools in their system. But in our country, we really have a long way to go. So this is what I feel about the topic. Yashwant, what do you feel?
Yeah, like I completely agree to you, Ayushi. Specifically speaking about our country, we really have a long way to go. And before we dive deep into, how to build a safe space and inclusive space, which is actually the core part of the agenda, I just want to, make the audience go through something known as equity and why it's actually essential to us as humans. So, uh, basically, humans are hardwired to have some ethnocentrism, or we can say something like unconscious prejudice, okay, towards people that are different from us. So basically, it's in our brain itself that we develop some sense of unconscious insecurity when we are with people that are different from us. Like if we are in a room with people who are actually different from us, or generally most of us have this feeling of insecurity when we meet someone new. This actually happens because our brain is hardwired to feel like that. That actually makes sense, okay. Before getting judgmental, let me say you, it all makes sense, because when we go back, seeing from the evolutionary point of view, when we go back to the time when humans used to live in caves, okay. So what happened then? We we basically we all lived in tribes. So when we encountered another person from another tribe, we used to feel a sense of insecurity, because like, no, that person might have come to steal my food, because at that time it was just a survival game. Like we have to just survive, that's all. That was all that mattered that day. So like it was like, don't take my food, or don't harm me. That was a sense of insecurity which was created when we saw people that were different from us, different from our tribe, the tribalism thing. So, but now today we have, our world is advancing. We are in a modern world. We are interacting with people all around the world. We are, talking when like we have all kinds of things going on, but there's some little sense of still that insecurity in us, which we need to kill. But we are still catching up to make that possible. We're not at there. This is number one, which I would like to, mention before I start my, the main core part, so that this all will make sense afterwards. Now let's come to the main part. Okay, this is the thing that which we have the insecurity in us from a very long time back, which is causing us to feel different, or feel a little insecure when we meet different people. The other thing which humans are actually hardwired to care about is equity. It's not equality, it's equity. I'll come to the difference in a bit. So again, equity linked back again to caveman times. So what happens? Like like say you are in a tribe and you get less food today, rather like compared to the food you're getting till now, develop a sense of fear, and it basically implies that there's something harming your life expectancy because you got less food that day in your tribe. So there's a sense of unfairness going on in your life. So that's what is equity. Equity simply means fairness. Like it should be fair. That's what equity means. And now I'll just I'll I want to say this example. Okay, when we were told actually to speak on this SDG, I came across this example in the internet. Okay, so there was a research going on, and there were two monkeys. You'll be shocked to know the end result. Okay, there were two monkeys, and they were basically told to perform some tricks, and they were rewarded accordingly. Okay, so what happened was, in the first phase, both of them were made to do the tricks, and both of them were rewarded cucumbers. Okay, and in the second phase, things were slightly changed. Instead of giving cucumber, they gave grapes to one monkey and cucumber to the second. So basically, monkeys love fruit. So what happened is, this monkey was very happy that it was getting grapes. It was performing the tricks, getting grapes. Cool. The cucumber monkey, which is performing the same tricks as the monkey that was performing, which is like just in front of it and getting grapes, and this monkey is getting cucumber. It was pissed off. After 2 or 3 times, you can see in that video, the monkey throws back the cucumber at the person which gives her, and it demands for grapes. So this is what actually happens in our lives too, right? Even a little sense of unfairness in our lives, we do get pissed because we don't want to get succumbed to something which is not fair. Like, if you really see in your life, there are very small incidents of unfairness which you actually consider, like you think about it, you give attention, and this is what happens. Okay, so this is what is equity, and it's not wrong. It matters because our brain categorizes this equity as a core need, because we basically don't agree unfairness. That's what we are hardwired for. So this is our core need. And if there is no equity, this leads to stress. Okay, like if life is unfair to you, okay, and you feel like nothing is working out for you, you develop stress. And stress has some different consequences which you and the audience are well know of it. Like, leads to chronic stress, inflammation, etc., etc. Like, at the end point is basically lesser life expectancy. That's all. So equity is related to health. Okay, it's not a joke. Equity is real, and we need it. We humans crave for it. And before going more further, I just want to mention here why I'm talking about equity and not equality. It's just a simple thing, man. Like, take this example. Like, if you take a classroom of students and you give them all a shoe size of 10 and expect them to be happy, do you think that's going to happen? No. Most of them will be happy, maybe, unless they are not gonna wear that size 10. That's not gonna fit them. If they want some size 8 or size 7, you're giving them size 10, and that's of no use. That's what is basically the difference between equality and equity, and that's where things get real. And not talking about specifically the education space and the need of equity in this, I just want to mention one thing. Till now, they say equality, and we say we want diversity, we are treating everyone equally, and they say we are leveling the playing field. You know what actually happens by doing this leveling the playing field thing? Forget about leveling, it's not even close to it. It is basically magnifying the differences. And remember, I'm not talking about people who are marginalized on basis of gender, race, etc., etc. I'm talking about everyone who are facing problem in their classroom because of something which are not in their control. You're basically putting everyone under one umbrella, making norms and making structures, a common structure for everyone without having any support structures for individuals. What I want to say here is basically what we are seeing today, the achievement gap. The achievement gap based on if you see the groups which are formed by the sex, race, or whatever, is basically a result of equality. It's because we don't have any support structures for individuals who need them, who need the support structures. We don't have them. Our education system is basically craving for high analytical skills, which which basically means you need to solve good maths and have good language skills. That's all matters to this education system and this society. You're fitting yourself, you're trying to fit yourself in the society norms to become this ideal self where you need to solve maths and be good at language, which is not the case for everybody, and that leads to achievement gap. Only analytical skills are valued today. But let me remind you here, the business of the education system is not to give grades and not to judge people just only on maths and language, but give tools to students to succeed in their life, to make a good career, to shape a good career. Ayushi, you also know that this age between, the young age till 21, 22, where we are in, undergoing primary, secondary and tertiary levels of education, this is the right age for shaping anyone's life. And if this itself is lacking the support structures to pay individual attention, what country we're aiming to build? So basically what I'm saying is, don't get me wrong, equality is needed. I'm not saying it's not needed. Anyway, we're not close to equality either. But let me, just talk about equity here. We need equity. We need equity because we need special attention. We need support structures for people, and we don't want everyone to fit into the same societal norms. And I'll give an last example before we move on to the core idea of building a safe space. Okay, this will be the perfect example for getting the idea of diversity and equity. We generally hear that people say we want diversity in our workplace, we want diversity in our classroom, and basically they see the population diversity and they try to maintain the diversity in the workplace, and they say that's what we achieve diversity, like let's celebrate. But is that sufficient enough? Like, what happens once you get into the workplace is the real thing that matters, right? Like, let's take the case of companies saying we are maintaining a particular ratio so that we are ratio to the males and females so that we are empowering women. But the point is, once women get into the workplace, they're not valued anymore. They are seen some like they're not even valued as a colleague. Forget about giving them credits to the work they do. First of all, the success of any man and any female is viewed in a very different view of sight by our society. The society doesn't want women to work in the workplace. That's what we need to change. Basically, the change needs to come in the mentalities of human beings, and we'll get there. We'll see what we can do to change our mentality. It's hardwired, but yes, we can do change because we know what's required today. We can't just live in the time of cavemen. Okay, Aishi, so like before we go on further, like what do you think, keeping in mind these uh, points of equity and stuff, what do you think will be a good enough way, good way to build a safe and inclusive system, education space for our country?
Yeah, so if we talk about like making a safe space, I completely agree with what you said. Equity is way more important than equality. And if we talk about the safe space, then it is a space or a classroom where a student feels secure about taking risks and honestly expressing their ideas and explore their knowledge, their attitudes and behaviors. And safety does not mean physical safety over here, obviously. Instead, a classroom safe space refers to protection from the psychological and emotional harm that a child may suffer because of microaggressions. So microaggressions like inappropriate jokes. So when we are kids, like even when we were kids, we used to think that inappropriate jokes were completely fine. If somebody looks that way, somebody eats that way, he writes that way, so we can make a joke about it. But that's not right, because eventually these things affect a person's mental health. It gets embedded in their system and it just remains with them forever. Then again, stereotyping and excluding them from your group, or bullying and like not knowing learning the names of children. Like if somebody has a difficult name, we call them out, we call them with their nicknames, we call out with nicknames or make funny names out of them. So that is not correct, because a name is a person's identity. So if you are calling out, if you are not identifying their name properly, so that you are taking their identity from them. So this is something that has a really adverse impact on students' self-esteem and their well-being. So what I feel is a teacher should be very well aware of the environment of the children, and they should ensure a safe space. They should ensure that children come to know like what exactly they need to talk about, what is inappropriate, what is appropriate, what they should talk about, what they should not to a person. So if a person is disabled, if a person is marginalized, what is correct to say and what is not. These things should be taught to students and the teachers as well. because even the teachers in our country are not very well versed how to deal with be it disabled students or the marginalized ones. So it's really important that the teachers are given training, and further they can give training to the children later on. So this is what I feel, how a safe space can be like ensured in the classrooms. And if we come to the inclusivity, then we know that we have around 8 million children in our country who are out of school. So and many of whom belong to the marginalized by they are marginalized by the dimensions of poverty, gender, disability, or caste and whatnot. So we know that inclusive education, it's an approach towards educating children with disability or learning difficulties of with that of normal ones, with the same within the same roof and under the same roof, and it seeks to address the learning needs of children with specific focus on those who are vulnerable to marginalization or exclusion. So this is a possibility. This is possible only in a flexible education system, unlike our country. So the country needs to like improve the education system and make it even more flexible and assimilate the need of diverse range of learners, because we know that every student is equally capable, and if not, then they should be given, as Yashman talked about, equity. If they are not, they should be given special assistant, definitely. So these things are what that needs to be pondered upon in our system. And we need to like, this is how an environment of inclusive and safe space can be built in our country. So this is what I feel. And it's not just about the inclusivity that needs to be addressed in our system, it's even the quality. And so Yashan, what do you think, how we can improve the quality of education, and what framework do you propose eventually?
Yeah, that's a very good question actually, Ayushi. Like it's a bit controversial, but yeah, I'll try to speak the truth. Talking about the quality of our education in our country specifically. So let me take my opinion on the tertiary part. Okay, since we are in our in our college life and we are studying BTech. So basically, as you can see, the things which we study in our college and are part of our curriculum are nowhere related to the industry skills. Like the industry is demanding a separate set of skills which are not even close to what we learn in our college. So basically, like if if you see clearly, the skills which we can learn ourselves from the industry mentors, which are actually required from the industry, are like much more, and we have more opportunities to learn by ourselves actually, like rather than going to the college these days. But that's not how an education system of a country should function, right? The college should be a support structure to us and act like it should fulfill its role. Like we are paying to the colleges to bro, educate me, make me interested in something which will benefit my career, and I can make my career in it, I can make my life in it. But that's not we're not that's not we are doing, right? Like they're keeping 75% attendance rule, and I really don't get, I feel it's so funny. Like we basically pay one extra year fees just because we're not interested and we don't like the college how it's functioning. So basically, like rather than going ranting about stuff, I would just like to make one or two points here since we're running out of time. So like I can see college in two parts: one, the socializing thing, and the second thing, the one which you're paying to to get stuff for yourself, like you're investing in yourself to get educated. And if any of this lacks in a college, it's basically pointless. And we can clearly see, like most of the colleges in our country lack socializing. There's nothing of such type. And the education part is like the curriculum is already screwed up. Like nothing of is relevant in today's industry. So yeah, coming to the framework, which I think practically, even to us, it makes sense today, is to just go out and learn skills from the internet is the best tool. And I feel it's somehow a very underrated tool in today to learn anything. When like our parents didn't have internet in their time, but we have internet, and we can basically even socialize with people on internet. We don't really need an offline campus to even socialize these days. We have variety of social platforms. Get out there, make friends, make your network, learn skills from each other. you can even reach out to industry mentors for that fact, and gain skills. So yeah, make a smart move, invest in yourself properly at a young age so that you can prosper later. And coming to the part which I told will talk at the last, the equity part, I have a small framework for changing the mindset of the people, because like basically we are hardwired to feel insecure. So what I think will be like beneficial for us to change a mindset are basically three things. Okay, if you want to change your mind regarding anything, just follow these 3 points. Try to follow these 3 points so that they can make sense. One, verbalize. Two, make it a measurable thing. And three, make it time bound. Like, say, I'll give you an example. Okay, so let's say a company is trying to maintain equity in their hiring process. So what they can keep their goal can be like something, achieve gender equity in our hiring process in 3 years. Like, doing this type of things will actually make you do things to achieve those goals and bring a at least a pinch of salt change in our society. What do you think, Ayushi? Like, uh,
Yeah.
uh yeah.
Agreed. I agree with you because like definitely completely agree with what you say. And if it's about the ensuring the quality education, the current system is not very efficient because the curriculum is very outdated and we really need to update it. So if it's like till the time it's updated, we can approach internet, which can help all of us for sure, but that's not the solution. The education system needs to improve itself and update the curriculum all over the country and for every other course out there. So like I feel that if it's about the framework, what I propose is the teachers of the rural section, the teachers of the rural areas, or be it the urban areas, or whoever is teaching, the teacher should be first of all given they should be given a training like how to deal with the disabled or the marginalized communities. So because it happens, we have seen incidents when the teachers are the ones who have hurt the feelings of children or the disabled or the marginalized sections. And it's important that we should not look at those people with sympathy or with a pitiable face, because they don't have a sympathetic situation, because they are as capable as all of us. And I feel since India is as I mentioned it earlier, multilingual, multicultural, and multi-religious country, and the people are stratified along various socio-economic and caste lines. So it's the inclusivity becomes really challenging for all of us. The insurance of inclusivity and a safe space. So it's important that the schools like make have infrastructural changes, or maybe like inculcate like it can be even the toilets that can be improved, and the customized toilets for people who are like they are disabled or something. So these things, the architecture, the infrastructure, all these things can be improved. Then the schools should not give braille textbooks, or be it audio learning facilities, etc. All these things should be kept in mind by schools and the education system, so that we can ensure a safe space and an inclusive learning environment. So yeah, so I guess this is how we can like ensure the quality of the education, improve the participation of different sections of the students in our society. I hope we
Completely
all,
agree.
yeah, I
Yeah.
hope we all, I know that we have a long way to go, but I hope the country improves and the system improves. Yeah. So thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, guys.